I'm just calling to say I...
What's up guys, Rage Quitting here, back with another video for you guys, and today we're going to talk about a Demon Hunter build guide for PvP. I found this build, somebody else was using it in threes. Me and my friends were playing threes at about 2200 MMR, and this other Demon Hunter was just doing insane damage. So we looked him up. It was actually, what's his name? Big Massage. So we looked him up on Check PvP, looked at his build, and I copied it, but I'm going to share it with you guys here. And this build does so much damage, and it's not hard to do at all. You basically just make sure you keep using Throw Glaive, because Throw Glaive puts a dot on the target, Soul Rend, and we're going to talk about the build here. But let me just go ahead and show you how much damage that this build does real quick, alright? So I'm going to just go ahead and get in here and do the damage here. Boom. We're just going to go ahead and use everything that we got here. So right now I'm holding 24k DPS, but it's going to keep climbing. Now it's at 26, 27, 30k DPS. Keep in mind that there are, you know, I'm cleaving a little bit off of the other dummies here, but that's fine. Because most of the time, Demon Hunter in PvP, it's not really like a setup single target kind of build, this one right here. It's more about just kind of just pressure. So 31k DPS. I'm going to go ahead and stop hitting the dummy here and show you guys the details breakdown. So 30k DPS, and look at that Soul Rend dot. Soul Rend dot is doing insane damage, and it's not hard to use at all. So for this build, what we're doing is we are taking in the regular tree here. You guys can take a snapshot of the tree here and look over it yourself. But the four most important ones from the Demon Hunter side is the extra Throw Glaive here. We're taking the Mastery Increase, Internal Struggle. We're taking the Hunt. We're taking Demonic. And then we're taking the 20% damage increase from Sigil of Misery. And then on the right side here in the Demon Hunter, the Havoc tree, we're going down the right side. We're taking the Throw Glaive Talents. And we're taking Fodder. And we're taking Soul Rend with any means necessary. The dot on Blade Dance. And then we're taking the extra duration on I-Beam, and it generates 40 Fury. All right, so reason for this is usually before you wouldn't really take this talent because you don't want people kicking you on I-Beam, but your main source of damage now is your Throw Glaive. Even if they kick you on I-Beam and lock you out of Chaos, it doesn't really matter because your main damage ability you can still use even though you're kicked. So not a huge deal. This last talent down here, Any Means Necessary, or it turns your mastery into all the damage that you deal, now deals it as chaos damage, and it increases that damage by, you know, a percentage. This talent down here gives you extra mastery. All of your damage is now chaos, and it's pushing into your mastery here. For the gear, we are re-gearing our stats for mastery, so I dropped a lot of haste. It used to be really high haste builds for PvP, haste verse, but now the best stat is mastery, so we're going to go ahead and switch our stats to mastery gear. And for the legendary, we're using Fell Bombardment. So Fell Bombardment, Immolation Aura has a chance to, you know, give you some stacking buff, and then when you use your Throw Glaive, it puts a dot on the target depending on how much stacks that buff has. But you don't really need to pay attention to the buff itself to increase the stacks or whatever. You just want to keep throwing. Just use Throw Glaive like off cooldown, and you'll do massive damage. Okay, like I've shown you here on the target dummy. In PvP, I've been like consistently holding like 15k DPS per, you know, throughout the matches. If it's a harder match where I don't have good uptime, it's more like 9k DPS. But if I have really good uptime, then I'm holding like 15k DPS throughout the match. So go ahead and check it out. Take a snapshot of the talents here and go ahead and use this. Also, right now in pre-patch, covenants are still a thing, so we're taking advantage of that because everybody else is. So the most damage right now, we're using Venthyr Covenant for Sinful Brand because we also have the Hunt and we also have Fodder to the Flame. All right, so one more time, I'll go ahead and show you guys the rotation here. Because we're using Sigil of Misery, 20% damage increase, we're gonna usually pop off, you know, with the Hunt and then throw glaives after the Sigil of Misery effect ends. And typically, if I want to CC the healer on the opener, then I'll use Imprison on the healer, followed up with a Sigil of Misery on the healer for an extended, crowd control. But in other matches where I'm not really worried about the healer, I'll just use Sigil of Misery following a Fell Eruption on the kill target. And in that case, we're not really using Sigil of Misery for the crowd control itself. We're just using it to get our damage buff. All right, guys, so for the rotation here, keep in mind your Metamorphosis. Now that if you're going to play Venthyr, your Metamorphosis, when you land, everything is hit with the Sinful Brand. And then we're taking the extended I-Beam, because I-Beam increases the duration of Sinful Brand every time it hits. So by using this extended I-Beam, you are now extending the duration of Sinful Brand. And it's really nice when you get like a group of people all stacked up together and you meta on top of all of them. Maybe you can throw out an AoE stun with your Chaos Nova and then hit everybody with the I-Beam and do massive damage with your Sinful Brand, okay? Your big burst with the Hunt, also you want to try to use it within those first 5 seconds after the Sigil of Misery effect ends. And yeah, so here we go. I'll show you guys the rotation here. I'm not going to get the damage buff with Sigil of Misery because you can't crowd control these target dummies, but in PvP, we would be getting this 20% damage increase for 5 seconds after the effect ends. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and get our Fury up here. We'll do like a single target stun into the Sigil with the Hunt on everything, followed by a I-Beam to hit everything, and then go ahead and use the Hunt, and then throw the glaives out, all right? And then keep doing your damage like you normally would, and every time you have a throw glaive, you just use it and throw it out, okay? So you can see from the very short rotation that I've done so far, we're holding 30k DPS on all these target dummies, and you just want to keep on making sure you use your throw glaive and then do everything else as you normally would, okay? Like I said, this rotation and this build is not hard to use. You just want to make sure you're keeping that throw glaive on cooldown for maximum damage possible. All right, so 30k DPS there. What's also nice about this build is that whenever your Fodder to the Flame procs, it's a lot easier to bonk your demon for the extra damage buff that you get from Fodder to the Flame because of the bouncing throw glaives. They just bounce all over the place. So a lot of the times it's much easier to get your demon, to die with your throw glaive because you don't have to switch your targeting all that much. As long as there's not too many things around your primary target when you're using your throw glaive will bounce to multiple enemies, and then for the most part, it will hit your Fodder to the Flame and give you your nice damage buff. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on another one. Peace.